Dr. Emily Walker's hands trembled as she adjusted the quantum scanner's frequency. The International Space Station Unity's inauguration was being broadcast to billions below, and her team's demonstration of the new quantum tunneling communication array would be the crown jewel of humanity's achievement. At 32, she was the youngest lead physicist ever to spearhead a project of this magnitude, and she'd fought tooth and nail against the scientific establishment to get here. Final calibration complete, she announced, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. Ready for transmission in 3-2. The scanner erupted in a cascade of readings that shouldn't have been possible. Through the Unity's observation window, space itself seemed to tear open, revealing massive ships that dwarfed the station. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly iridescence, like oil on water but crystalline in structure. Dr. Walker. Her assistant's voice cracked with panic. Every communication system worldwide just went dark. Before she could respond, every screen, every device, every broadcasting system on Earth, and the station flickered to life with the same image. A humanoid figure with elongated features and skin that shared the same crystalline quality as their ships. Its eyes held the weight of millennia. People of Earth. The being spoke in perfect English, its voice resonating with harmonic undertones. I am High Arbiter Vex Thor of the Valorian Ascendancy, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Consortium. Your species has been observed since you first split the atom. Today, we end this observation. Emily felt her blood run cold. First contact, and something in the Arbiter's tone suggested this wasn't a friendly visit. Your species represents a chaotic element in our ordered galaxy, Vex Thor continued. Your development rate exceeds safe parameters. Your methods are unpredictable. Your tendencies toward both innovation and destruction pose an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The station's crew gathered around the screens, their faces pale. Emily's quantum scanner continued to spike, detecting energy patterns that defied known physics. Her mind raced, already analyzing, theorizing, refusing to be overwhelmed by the moment's magnitude. However, our laws require that we offer you a chance to prove your worth. The Arbiter's voice carried a note of what seemed like resigned distaste. 3 trials will be presented to humanity. Success will grant you membership in the consortium. Failure. A pause heavy with meaning. Failure will result in your species being quarantined within your solar system, permanently. Emily's fists clenched. Her entire career had been built on proving the impossible possible, on challenging established limitations. Now some ancient alien civilization wanted to judge humanity's worth. You have 6 Earth hours to select your champion. This individual will represent humanity in the trials. Choose carefully. The future of your species depends upon it. The transmission cut off, leaving a deafening silence in its wake. Emily turned back to her quantum scanner, her mind already connecting dots others might miss. The energy patterns the aliens used, there was something familiar about them, something that nagged at the edges of her understanding. Emily. Station Commander Rodriguez approached her. Your quantum tunneling experiment. The readings just before they appeared. I know, she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Their technology operates on quantum principles we've only begun to understand. But here's the thing, Commander. She pulled up the comparative data. Some of our theories, the ones everyone called impossible, they're not just possible. Based on these readings, we're already on the right track. As the world below erupted into chaos and debate, Emily Walker stood at the window of humanity's newest space station, watching the crystalline ships that had come to judge them. In her mind, the quantum equations danced, showing her possibilities others couldn't yet see. The Valorians thought they were coming to test humanity, but Emily had spent her entire career proving the impossible possible, and she wasn't about to stop now. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just a test for humanity. Maybe it was time to test the masters of the galaxy themselves. The United Nations Security Council chamber buzzed with tension as world leaders argued over screens. 5 hours had passed since the ultimatum, and humanity was running out of time. Emily stood before them, her presentation concluding with a simulation of her quantum tunneling breakthrough. With all due respect, the Russian representative interrupted. Dr. Walker's theories are still unproven. We need a military representative for these trials, not a what? Emily challenged, her green eyes flashing. Not a scientist. While you've been debating military tactics, I've been analyzing their technology. The Valorian ships don't just bend space. They quantum tunnel through it. The same principle I've been working on, just vastly more advanced. The Chinese delegate leaned forward. You're suggesting your research parallels their technology. I'm suggesting we already understand more than they think we do. Emily pulled up the data from the Unity station. Their arrival caused a quantum cascade that matched my theoretical models exactly. Models, I'll remind you, that the scientific community called impossible 3 months ago. A murmur rippled through the chamber. The UN Secretary General raised her hand for silence. Dr. Walker, are you volunteering to be humanity's champion? I am. Emily's voice carried the same determination that had driven her through years of academic ridicule, and I can prove why I should be. She typed a command into her tablet. Above the chamber, a small drone hummed to life. Standard drone, minimal modifications. She pressed another button, and the drone vanished with a slight shimmer, reappearing across the room. The chamber erupted in gasps and exclamations. A prototype based on my quantum tunneling theory, Emily explained as the drone reappeared at its starting point. Small scale, limited range, but it works. We're closer to their level than they realize. The Secretary General's eyes widened. How long have you had this capability? 3 days. I was planning to announce it at the Unity inauguration. Emily's lips curved in a slight smile. The Valorians interrupted before I could. The American representative stood. I nominate Dr. Emily Walker as Earth's champion. Nominations cascaded from other nations. The vote was unanimous. With 30 minutes remaining, Emily found herself aboard a Valorian shuttle, ascending toward their command ship. Commander Rodriguez had insisted on accompanying her as humanity's witness. Nervous, he asked quietly. Terrified, Emily admitted, clutching her tablet. But also angry. They're so certain of their superiority, they never considered we might understand aspects of their technology. The shuttle docked with a crystalline resonance. High Arbiter Vexthor waited in a chamber that seemed carved from pure light. Other alien species arrayed behind him like a galactic court. Your species has chosen. Vexthor's harmonic voice held a note of curiosity. A scientist. Interesting. Most choose warriors. We choose knowledge over force, Emily replied, matching his formal tone. Yet your quantum experiment today violated numerous laws of physics, Vexthor countered. Laws we established over millennia. Emily felt a surge of satisfaction. They had been watching. Perhaps your laws need updating. A ripple of what might have been discomfort passed through the alien assembly. Vexthor's expression hardened. The first trial begins in 12 hours. I suggest you rest, Dr. Walker. You'll need it. As Emily turned to follow her escort, she caught a glimpse of something in a side chamber, a familiar quantum pattern dancing across alien screens. The Valorians weren't just studying her work. They were trying to understand how she'd done it. In that moment, Emily realized the truth. The Valorians weren't just testing humanity. They were afraid of us. Commander, she whispered as they walked away, I need you to get a message to Earth. Tell them to check the quantum frequency patterns I recorded during their arrival. Compare them to historical readings from the past century. I think we're not the first humans to stumble onto this technology. The game was bigger than simple trials, and Emily Walker intended to play it to win. The structure hung in space like a twisted geometric nightmare, a massive dodecahedron with surfaces that shifted and rippled like mercury. Emily stood at the observation deck of the Valorian ship, studying the readings on her modified tablet. The maze of minds, Vexthor announced, satisfaction evident in his harmonically layered voice. 17 species have attempted to navigate it. All failed. Most went insane within hours. What happened to them? Emily asked, not taking her eyes off the readings. They recovered. Eventually, the High Arbiter's pause carried weight. Those that survived. Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. Dr. Walker doesn't have to. Yes, I do. Emily's interruption was firm. Her tablet was picking up quantum signatures unlike anything she'd seen before, but there was something hauntingly familiar about their pattern. How does it work? You enter, you solve its puzzle, or you don't. Vex Thor gestured, and a crystalline bridge extended toward the structure. Your species' penchant for asking questions won't help you here. Emily walked the bridge alone, her footsteps echoing. The entrance irised open, revealing darkness that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. She stepped through. The world exploded into chaos. Screams filled her mind. Millions of voices crying out in languages she couldn't understand but somehow comprehended. Images flashed. Civilizations burning. Planets dying. Entire species facing extinction. The emotional impact knocked her to her knees. God, she gasped, fighting for control. Her training hadn't prepared her for this, but something about the quantum readings. They weren't random. The patterns carried information. Previous species had tried to block it out, to solve it with pure logic. But these weren't just recordings. They were memories. The structure wasn't a maze. It was a memorial. You're not trying to drive us insane, she whispered, letting the emotions flow through her instead of fighting them. You're trying to share your grief. The screams began to organize themselves. Each quantum signature carried the last moments of a civilization. The structure wasn't testing their problem-solving abilities. It was testing their capacity for empathy. Emily sat cross-legged in the center of the chaos and did something no previous species had attempted. She listened. She felt. She grieved with them. Hours passed. Through her tears, she began to notice patterns in the quantum fields. The memories were connected, telling a larger story. Each civilization had faced a similar crisis, and each had tried to fight it alone. You wanted us to learn from your mistakes, she said to the darkness. To understand the price of isolation. The quantum fields shifted. A new pattern emerged, not of death, but of hope. Of species coming together, sharing knowledge, surviving together what they couldn't survive alone. Emily stood, her cheeks wet, but her mind clear. She pulled out her tablet and began broadcasting on the quantum frequency she'd developed on Earth. Not trying to solve the maze, but sharing humanity's own story. Our struggles, our failures, our resilience. The structure resonated. The darkness lifted, revealing a central chamber Emily's tablet hadn't detected. Inside, a single crystal pulsed with stored quantum information. The complete historical record of every species that had lived and died in the galaxy. We accept your memories, Emily said formally, placing her hand on the crystal. And we offer our own in return. The structure shimmered, and Emily found herself back on the bridge. Vex Thor stared at her, his crystalline features showing an emotion she couldn't quite read. Impossible, he whispered. You didn't just survive it. You communicated with it. It wasn't a puzzle to solve, Emily replied, her voice hoarse from crying but strong. It was a lesson to learn. Unity is stronger than isolation. Empathy is stronger than logic alone. She saw fear flash across the High Arbiter's features before he could mask it. The second trial will not be so emotional. But Emily barely heard him. Her tablet had captured something in that final moment. A quantum signature that matched Earth's historical readings perfectly. The structure's technology wasn't Valorian. The question was, whose was it really? The dying star pulsed an angry red, its corona writhing like a living thing. Emily stood before the massive viewing window of the Valorian science vessel, Commander Rodriguez at her side. Her tablet displayed readings that made her breath catch. A Class K7 star in its death throes, Vex Thor announced. 3 inhabited planets in the system. 15 million sentient beings. His crystalline features reflected the star's crimson light. Previous species attempted to save it with their most advanced technology. All failed. Emily's fingers flew across her tablet. These quantum fluctuations, they're not random. The star's decay follows a pattern similar to quantum probability matrices, like it's dancing. You have 6 hours, Vexthor stated flatly, before total stellar collapse. The High Arbiter turned to leave, but Emily called after him. Wait. The last species that attempted this, when did they fail? 3 days ago. Emily's eyes narrowed. The Valorians weren't just testing humanity. They were burning through species after species, seeking something specific. But what? She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the data. The star's quantum signature was familiar, impossibly familiar. It matched the patterns she detected in both the Valorian ships and the Memorial Maze. "Commander," she whispered, "I need you to transmit these readings to Earth. There's something bigger happening here." Rodriguez nodded discreetly and stepped away. Emily turned back to her tablet, mind racing. The star wasn't just dying. Its quantum structure was unraveling, like a complex dance falling apart as dancers lost their rhythm. Previous species had tried to force the star's fusion processes back into alignment using brute technological force. But if the quantum patterns were like a dance, "You don't force a dance," Emily murmured. "You join it." She pulled up the schematics of her quantum tunneling device. On Earth, she'd used it to transport small objects, but the principles were the same, creating a quantum resonance between 2 points in space. What if instead of 2 points in space, she created a resonance between 2 points in time? Emily's fingers flew across the controls, reconfiguring her device. She'd need the Valorian ship's power systems. Fortunately, their crystalline technology responded to quantum commands she now understood. Dr. Walker, a Valorian scientist, protested, "You cannot interface our systems with your primitive." "Watch me," Emily snapped, not looking up. The star's dance was accelerating. 4 hours left, not 6. She initiated the sequence. Her quantum tunneling field expanded, enveloping the star. Instead of trying to stabilize its current state, she sensed it with its own past rhythm, creating a temporal quantum loop. The star flared brilliant white. Warning alarms screamed throughout the ship. "Shut it down," the Valorian scientists shouted. "You'll destroy the entire system." But Emily stood firm, watching her readings. The star's quantum dance was stabilizing, finding its rhythm again through the temporal loop. Its angry red faded to a healthy orange. The alarms fell silent. The star pulsed steadily, its death throes reversed. "Impossible," Vexthor breathed, returning to the observation deck. "You used your quantum tunneling technology to remind the star how to dance," Emily finished. She turned to face him, noting the fear he couldn't quite hide. "But that's not why you're afraid, is it? You're afraid because I used principles your science says are impossible, because I did it with primitive human technology." She stepped closer, her voice low. "The quantum patterns in that star, they're the same ones I found in the Memorial Maze. The same ones your ships use. This isn't about testing humanity's worth. What are you really looking for, High Arbiter?" Vexthor's features hardened. "The final trial begins tomorrow. I suggest you rest, Dr. Walker. You'll need your strength." As he strode away, Emily's tablet beeped. A message from Earth. The historical quantum readings she'd requested were ready. And what they revealed would change everything. Emily's hands shook as she read Earth's transmission for the 3rd time. The quantum signatures they'd found in historical data weren't just similar to Valorian technology. They were identical. And they dated back to the 1940s. "They've been here before," she whispered to Commander Rodriguez in her quarters aboard the Valorian ship. "Multiple times. The Roswell incident, the Phoenix lights, even the Trinidad UFO wave. They were all Valorian ships." Rodriguez frowned. "Why? If they'd been observing us that long, why wait until now to make contact?" Before Emily could answer, her tablet chimed. A message from an unknown source. Storage Chamber 7, Level 3. Come alone. Truth waiting. It's probably a trap, Rodriguez warned. Everything about these trials has been a trap, Emily replied, standing. But they keep underestimating us. Time to find out why. The Valorian ship's crystalline corridors were eerily quiet at ship night. Emily's quantum scanner led her through the maze-like passages until she reached Storage Chamber 7. Inside, a lone figure waited. A young Valorian scientist she recognized from the star stabilization trial. "I'm First Researcher Kex," he said without preamble. "What you did with the star, it should have been impossible, but it wasn't. And now I know why." He activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, spanning decades. Quantum energy signatures pulsed across the timeline. "We didn't come to Earth to observe you," Kex revealed, his voice trembling. "We came because we detected quantum anomalies, signs that humans were naturally developing quantum manipulation abilities we thought were ours alone." Emily's mind raced. The Valorians didn't invent quantum technology, did they? No. Kex's crystalline features reflected the hologram's light. "We discovered it, found it in ancient ruins across the galaxy. We've spent millennia learning to use it, claiming it as our own, positioning ourselves as the galaxy's masters." He paused. "But we never truly understood it. Not like you did with the star." The memorial maze, Emily realized. Those weren't just random extinct civilizations. They were the original creators of the technology. Kex nodded. The precursors. They vanished eons ago, leaving their technology behind. We thought ourselves their worthy successors. But then we detected quantum signatures from Earth, signatures that matched precursor patterns perfectly. "You're not testing humanity's worth," Emily said, her voice hard. "You're trying to prevent us from developing our own quantum technology, from discovering the truth about your authority." "The High Council fears humans will advance too quickly," Kex admitted. "That you'll surpass us within centuries, exposing our lie to the galaxy. These trials, they're designed to be impossible, to justify quarantining Earth forever." Emily's tablet beeped. Another message from Earth. Her blood ran cold as she read it. The historical quantum signatures. They're not just from Valorian ships. They're coming from humans themselves, random individuals throughout history, showing bursts of quantum energy. "Impossible," Kex breathed. "Unless..." His eyes widened. "Unless humans err." An alarm blared. The chamber's door slid open, revealing High Arbiter Vexthor and 2 guards. First Researcher Kex. Vexthor's harmonic voice was cold. "You are charged with revealing state secrets. And you, Dr. Walker." His crystalline eyes narrowed. "You've learned too much." "What are you going to do?" Emily challenged. "Kill us. Prove that your authority comes from fear rather than wisdom." "No," Vexthor smiled. "You're going to face the final trial. Immediately. And this time, you'll face a choice no human can survive." As the guards led them away, Emily's mind whirled. Humans naturally developing quantum abilities. The Valorians' desperate deception. The precursors' true legacy. The pieces were falling into place. But would she live long enough to reveal the truth to the galaxy? The massive view screen showed 2 images. On the left, the colonial ship Earthbound Dawn, carrying 10,000 human settlers. On the right, a crowded alien world orbiting a destabilizing star. Both would be destroyed within the hour. "Your final trial is simple," Vexthor announced to the assembled Galactic consortium. "Save one. The other will be lost. Choose." Emily stood before them, her hands bound in quantum-dampening cuffs. Kex knelt nearby, guarded by Valorian soldiers. Commander Rodriguez watched helplessly from the diplomatic observation deck. "You're violated your own laws," Emily declared, facing the consortium. "These aren't trials. They're execution orders for my species." "The human speaks treason," Vexthor's harmonic voice carried across the chamber. The choice remains: your colony ship or the Zentari homeworld. Choose now. Emily's mind raced. The Zentari, a peaceful species of philosophers and artists. Their world housed billions, against 10,000 human colonists. But something wasn't right. The quantum readings from both situations meshed too perfectly. Like the star from before, there was a pattern. Before I choose, Emily spoke clearly, I want the consortium to know what the Valorians fear. She stepped forward, ignoring the guard's warnings. Humans aren't just another species developing technology. We're rediscovering it. The quantum patterns in our DNA match those of the precursors themselves. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Vex Thor's crystalline features darkened. Silence her. The memorial maze showed us extinct civilizations. Emily continued louder. But it also showed us our own quantum signature. We're not just similar to the precursors. We're their descendants. Enough, Vex Thor commanded. Choose now, or both will be destroyed. Emily closed her eyes, focusing. The quantum dampening cuffs blocked her technology, but not her natural abilities. Not the power that had been dormant in human DNA for millennia. I choose neither, she declared, because neither is real. Her eyes snapped open, and she reached out with her mind, not her technology. The quantum patterns surrounding both disasters were illusions, complex ones, but illusions nonetheless. The precursors didn't just master quantum technology, Emily announced, feeling the patterns unravel around her. They became one with it. And so can we. The view screen flickered. Both disasters vanished, revealed as quantum projections. The assembled consortium members erupted in shock and outrage. You dare! Vex Thor raised a quantum weapon. You primitive! We're not primitive, Emily interrupted, the quantum dampening cuffs shattering as her newfound awareness grew stronger. We're your greatest fear, living proof that your authority is based on lies. Kex broke free from his guards, rushing to a control panel. The human speaks truth. Our archives confirm it. Earth's quantum signatures match precursor patterns exactly. The chamber descended into chaos. Consortium members demanded explanations. Valorian guards wavered, uncertain. You wanted me to choose between two evils. Emily addressed Vex Thor directly. To prove humans would sacrifice others to save ourselves. But you forgot something crucial about humanity. She gestured, and a quantum display activated, showing her solution to the dying star. We don't accept no-win scenarios. We find another way. Always. The Valorians have lied to us all. Kex announced, broadcasting data across the consortium network. They're not the masters of quantum technology. They're its thieves. Vex Thor fired his weapon. Emily reached out with her awakened abilities, catching the quantum blast midair. The energy dispersed harmlessly. The trials are over, she declared. Not just for humanity, but for every species you've deceived. It's time for the truth. As consortium security forces surrounded the Valorian leadership, Emily felt a new awareness expanding within her. The quantum nature of reality itself seemed to pulse in harmony with her thoughts. Humanity wouldn't just join the galactic community. We would help lead it into a new age of discovery. An age where the precursors' true legacy would finally be understood. The next 12 hours transformed the galaxy. Emily stood in the consortium's grand chamber, watching as centuries of Valorian control unraveled. Species after species came forward with stories of impossible trials, of civilizations quarantined or stunted by Valorian interference. The quantum awakening you displayed, an Exarian diplomat addressed Emily, their crystalline appendages shimmering with interest. Others of your kind show similar potential. It's in our DNA, Emily confirmed, studying the quantum readouts on her now enhanced tablet. Dormant in most, but growing stronger. The Valorians didn't just fear our technology. They feared what we naturally are. Commander Rodriguez entered with Kex, both carrying stacks of decoded Valorian archives. You need to see this, Rodriguez said grimly. The files revealed a darker truth. The Valorians hadn't just found precursor technology. They discovered warnings about a coming crisis, a cyclical event that threatened the galaxy itself. The precursors had seeded various species with their quantum-attuned DNA, preparing for their own extinction. They knew they wouldn't survive. Kex explained, his crystalline features dim with shame. But they ensured their knowledge would live on, encoded in the very genes of species they deemed worthy. Humanity wasn't the first to carry their legacy, but you're the first to awaken it naturally. Emily's quantum senses, growing stronger by the hour, detected a disturbance. The chamber doors burst open. High Arbiter Vexthor, though in restraints, walked in flanked by guards. You think you've won. His harmonic voice carried equal parts rage and fear. You don't understand what's coming. The precursor's warnings. We found those too, Emily interrupted. The galactic core's quantum instability. The event that occurs every million years. The one due within the next century. The chamber fell silent. The precursors didn't just give us their power, Emily continued. They gave us their purpose, their hope. While you hoarded their technology, desperately maintaining control, they wanted species to evolve naturally, to face the crisis with new perspectives, not just ancient solutions. She turned to the assembled representatives. The Valorians thought control was the answer, but the precursors knew better. Evolution, innovation, cooperation. That's why they chose humanity. Not because we're special, but because we never stop questioning, never stop trying new approaches. And now, a Zentari elder asked, their philosophical nature evident in the question's weight. Emily smiled. Now we do what humanity does best. We share knowledge. We work together. We face the impossible and find a way through. She gestured, and the chamber's quantum field rippled with new data. These are my quantum tunneling equations. Not Valorian technology, not pure precursor knowledge, but something new. A fusion of inherited ability and human innovation. I'm releasing them to every species in the consortium. You can't. Vexthor protested. The Chaos is exactly what we need, Emily finished. Unity through diversity. The precursors didn't want copies of themselves. They wanted evolution, growth, change. New quantum signatures appeared on Emily's tablet, similar awakenings beginning on Earth, and hints of the same among other species. The precursor's legacy was spreading, not through control, but through cooperation. The trials are over, Emily declared, not just for humanity, but for all of us. We don't need masters. We need partners, equals. The crisis the precursors warned about, we'll face it together, with new ideas and new approaches they never imagined. She turned to Vexthor. That's what terrified you, isn't it? Not that we'd destroy the galaxy, but that we'd change it, make it something beyond your control. As the former High Arbiter was led away, Emily felt the quantum energy pulsing through the chamber. Change was coming, faster than anyone had expected. Humanity wouldn't just join the galaxy. We would help transform it. The real trial was just beginning. And this time, every species would face it together. 1 year later, the Galactic Unity Center hung in Earth's orbit, its crystalline spires reflecting sunlight across multiple quantum frequencies. Inside the main observation deck, Emily Walker watched as representatives from 50 species worked together, sharing knowledge that had been suppressed for millennia. The quantum awakening spreads faster than we predicted, Commander Rodriguez noted, now Earth's diplomatic liaison. 37 confirmed cases on Earth alone, over 100 across other species. Emily nodded, her quantum-enhanced senses detecting the subtle harmonics of reality itself. The precursors knew what they were doing. They didn't just seed us with their abilities. They made them evolve, adapt to each species' unique traits. A familiar crystalline form approached. Kex, now leading the reformed Valorian Science Council. The core stability calculations are complete, he announced. Using humanity's quantum tunneling principles combined with Centauri energy manipulation and Nexarian probability matrices, we might have a solution. Emily studied the data on her advanced tablet. The coming crisis, a quantum cascade in the galactic core that could unravel reality itself, had driven the precursors to their great experiment. Now their descendants were finding answers they never imagined. Traditional Valorian methods would have failed, Emily observed. But by combining multiple approaches, we create something new, Kex finished, just as the precursors intended. The chamber's quantum field rippled as a new arrival transmitted in. A young Valorian scientist named Zora, who had chosen exile during the trials to pursue true discovery. She now led the Precursor Recovery Initiative, dedicated to understanding their legacy. Emily. Zora's eyes shimmered with excitement. We found another archive. The precursors, they didn't just face extinction. They evolved beyond physical form. The quantum abilities they seeded through the galaxy. They're not just tools. They're the first steps toward a new stage of existence. The observation deck fell silent as implications rippled through the quantum field. Emily felt the truth of it in her enhanced awareness. The ability to perceive and manipulate quantum reality wasn't just technology. It was evolution in action. That's why the old Valorian leadership was so afraid. Emily realized. They weren't just losing control of technology. They were facing the next step in cosmic evolution. And humanity? Rodriguez asked quietly. Emily smiled, reaching out with her quantum senses to touch the fabric of space-time itself. We're just the beginning. Not because we're special, but because we never stop questioning, never stop pushing boundaries. The precursors chose us as catalysts, not rulers. She turned to address the gathered representatives. 1 year ago, I stood trial for humanity's worth. Today, we all stand at a new threshold. The crisis coming to the galactic core isn't just a threat. It's an opportunity to evolve, to transcend, not alone, but together. The quantum field hummed with shared purpose. Species that once competed now collaborated, each bringing unique perspectives to universal challenges. The rigid hierarchy of the old consortium had given way to something more dynamic, more alive. The true trial wasn't about proving our worth, Emily declared. It was about breaking free from the limits we placed on ourselves. All of us. As if in response, the quantum field surrounding Earth pulsed with new energy. Another awakening was beginning. Not just human, not just alien, but something gloriously in between. The next step in a journey the precursors had started eons ago. Humanity hadn't just challenged the masters of the galaxy. We had helped free it. And somewhere in the quantum realm that intersected with normal space, Emily sensed something watching. The precursors hadn't gone extinct. They had ascended. And now, at last, their children were taking their first steps toward joining them. The real journey was just beginning. And this time, every species would walk it together into a future even the precursors couldn't have imagined. The end.